Hi guys! Welcome to my first ever YouTube makeup tutorial. For this look, I thought what was more appropriate than to kick it off with a bang and go for a Euphoria inspired makeup look. I had to recreate one of Maddy Perez's iconic looks. This one in particular is a bold, fierce purple winged liner that's embezzled with these iridescent Swarovski crystals. So to start off this makeup look, I'm going to give my brows some shape and definition with e.l.f.'s Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. This is really similar to the ABH Brow Wiz in the sense that it's a double-ended brow pencil and brow spoolie brush. I like to just go ahead and go in with the spoolie to brush out my brow hairs, and then I would go in and define the upper and lower borders of my brow. I apply a little bit more pressure when I'm defining the arch, especially in the tail end. Then I brush my brow hairs up and proceed to fill in the bottom border of my brow. Once the tail of my brow is all filled in, I'm just going to run the spoolie through it one more time to comb out the product and soften it up a bit. I noticed in the show that the brows in every makeup look are pretty downplayed, they're pretty minimalistic, so I'm not going to take this product in and fill in the inner portion of my brow like I normally would. I'm just going to brush the brow hairs up to give a more polished look. And then to clean up and carve out the brows, I'm going to go in with e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. As you can see, the applicator is really big and fat. It reminds me a lot of the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer applicator, so it's great for applying product under the eyes. The shade I'm using is Medium Sand. I'm going to apply the product to the back of my hand and then go in with this little flat definer detailer brush. This is actually a paintbrush. I believe I got it from Joanne Fabrics or Michaels. I'll find that out and link it down below in the description box. But I like to go in with this brush to carve out the brows starting from the inner brow, working my way to the mid and ending up at the tail end of my brow. This just makes the brow look really clean and sharp and crisp. I then drag the concealer down on my brow bone to give it a highlight, and even down on my eyelid to conceal any redness and veins on my eyelid. This concealer also works great as an eyeshadow base. Once I have less product on my brush, I'll carve out the inner brow there. And then I'll go in with a little more product to define the upper border of the brow as well. I like to do this especially above the brow so that when I apply foundation, the foundation has something to blend into. As I mentioned before, this is a Maddy Perez Euphoria inspired makeup look, and I wanted to give a shout out to the amazing co-makeup artists on the show, Kristen Coleman and Daniela Davy. They have absolutely killed it, and I think they've inspired all of us to dive into our glitter and our rhinestones and our makeup, and they've just reminded us to have fun with it, which is what makeup is really all about. The Maddy makeup look that I'm recreating today has two iconic features, one being the vibrant violet winged liner that's embezzled with these gorgeous iridescent Swarovski crystals, and the second being this really beautiful blushed glitter lip. Before I go in and recreate the purple wing, I'm going to give my eyes just a little bit more definition by coating my lashes in this mascara. This is the Pacifica Stellar Gaze Length and Strength Mineral Mascara. The shade is Supernova. It's just a black. Use whatever mascara you have handy. I just wanted to give my eyes more definition before I went in with my winged liner. The wand for this mascara in particular is really large and in charge. It's pretty fat. So I tend to sometimes get a little bit of the product on my eyelid. If you do, don't worry though, just let it dry and then go in with a Q-tip and it'll flake right off. And now to recreate that gorgeous purple winged liner, I'm going to go in with one of my favorite products in my makeup collection. This is a Suva Beauty Hydra FX Body Art. It's basically a paint pot that's activated by incorporating some water. All you have to do is pour a little bit of water in the pot itself, swirl it around with a brush, and you'll activate the paint. This shade is called Grape Soda. It's actually a UV version of their Hydra FX, so it glows in the dark under UV light. So you can use this product once it's activated for pretty much anything. I use it mainly to do colorful winged liners or colorful cut creases. You can use it for pretty much whatever your heart desires. So I'm starting from the inner corner of my eye, working my way to the middle of my eye and then to the outer edge of my eye. You can see I don't do this in one foul swoop. I kind of inch my way, and this helps to keep the product smooth without any rippling or any bumping. So I'm just changing the way that I'm holding the brush. Then I'll drag the product from the outer corner of my eye up in a wing shape towards the tail of my brow. Then I will start to connect that mini wing, if you will, to the line that I created on the top border of my eye. And I will slowly extend it out and slowly thicken it up so that it looks like one smooth line. As someone with hooded eyes, this is a technique I've kind of developed and learned to use in my day-to-day life when I'm doing a wing liner so that I don't have any skipping or ridges there in the fold of my crease where my eyelid is hooded. Then I'll go in to clean up the wing so it looks nice and sharp and fierce. And for this, I'm using the Wet n Wild concealer. This is their Photofocus concealer in the shade Fair Beige. It's a light pale shade, a little bit lighter than the e.l.f. concealer I used under my brows. I just want it to look nice and bright and contrasted underneath of that purple wing liner. I do initially go in and apply the product with the applicator of the concealer itself, but then I'll go in and use that fine detailer brush to really clean it up and sharpen it up. In here, I'm just going to rehydrate and re-moisten the skin after a long journey. Doing our brows, doing this liner. So we got to do a little dance, we got to rehydrate, refreshen, and get back in it. So once I've rehydrated, I'm going to go in and set my eyebrows and my eyelids. And to do this, I'm going to use my face powder. At the current moment, I'm using NYX Mineral Matte Finishing Powder in the shade Light Medium. It is translucent, meaning it's see-through, but it is tinted, so it's not completely colorless like the RCMA No Color Powder, if you're familiar with that. So I'm just going to use a bit of this powder on a really nice fluffy brush. This is the e.l.f. Fluffy Eye Blender Brush. And I'm just going to set the brows thoroughly and set the eyelids there, especially in the crease where that concealer would tend to crease up on me. Now moving on to foundation, I'm using the Colourpop No Filter Foundation in the shade Light 50. I initially went in with the shade Light 70 and I was like, whoa girl, that is way too warm. So I went in with the shade Light 50 and I was much happier with that foundation match on me. I'm buffing this out with a Sephora Pro Bronzer number 48 brush. This is a really big fat synthetic brush that I'm just using to buff it all around. No rhyme or reason to this, just avoiding the hair, avoiding the brows. And then to really pat it in further and melt it into the skin, I'm gonna bounce it in using my beauty blender. Still one of my favorite beauty sponges. I love it and the Real Techniques. I love going in with a beauty blender to pat out the foundation after buffing it with a foundation brush. Just really helps to melt the product into your skin and buff out any streaks if you do have any after blending and buffing with that foundation brush. So now I'm going in again with the Wet n Wild Photofocus Concealer. This is a super creamy blendable concealer. I like using the shade Fair Beige under my eyes and the shade Light Medium Beige if I have any blemishes that I want to conceal. So I'm just applying that shade Fair Beige underneath of my eye areas to brighten up. And then to evenly brighten up the whole face, I'm gonna apply some on my chin, the middle of my forehead, and underneath of my nose. To blend out the concealer, I love using this mini beauty sponge. This one in particular is by the brand Swisspers that I got at Walmart a while back. They come in either a 2 or a 4 pack, but I love them to blend out under eye concealer, especially because you can get into those fine creases and crevices in the inner corner and under the eyes. So they're one of my favorite beauty tools. And when you wet them and wring them out, they really emulate the texture of a traditional beauty blender. So they're just perfect. I really recommend them. Now I'm going to apply a little bit of cream contour and bronzing to my face. I'm going to use Wet n Wild's Mega Glow Makeup Contour Stick. The shade I'm using today is in Oaks on You. I was making an effort to show you how beautifully this product blends out into a satin skin-like finish, but it ended up looking like I was just smearing doogie all over the back of my hand. So disregard this clip. So just using the product applicator itself, I'm going to apply it to the borders of my face, around the perimeters of my forehead, on and above my cheekbone, leading up onto my temple, and then there on my cheek. I love using the Swisspers. I love using this mini Swisspers sponge again to blend out my cream contour because it keeps the product precise in where I applied it and doesn't blend it out too much so that I have a muddy contour or muddy bronzer helmet by the time I'm done. So if you've ever been turned off by cream contour because you feel like it just makes your whole face look muddy, try blending it out with something smaller, more detailed, and fine-tuned like this little beauty sponge. It helped me a lot anyways. So I'm just using that Swisspers sponge again to blend out the cream contour on my cheeks, my forehead, and then there underneath of my lip. So now I'm going to go in with some more of that NYX Mineral Matte Finishing Powder to set the under eye concealer. Before I use any powder, I'm going to blend out any under eye creases with my beauty sponge, and then I'll go in and set the under eye area with a Morphe M438 brush. This is a tapered in blending brush. The way that it's tapered on the end just really fits perfectly into the under eye area. After I'm finished setting the under eye area, I go in with more powder on the same brush to set the smile line area, the chin, and the rest of the face. Sometimes I like to go in with a combination of the tapered brush and my beauty sponge just to really pat the product into the skin and melt it into the skin. To set the rest of the face, I'm using that same NYX Mineral Matte Finishing Powder on a larger, fluffier brush. This is an e.l.f. powder face brush, and I'm just buffing the powder all over the skin, everywhere I applied foundation, and a little bit on my neck and décolletage. Now I'm going in with another e.l.f. fluffy blending brush. This one differs from the last one. It's a bit more tapered and it has a sharp, steep edge to it. So I find that it's really great for hugging the cheekbone if you want to do a fluffy blended out contour, or if you want to just add some bronzer to the cheekbones. This one is great for that purpose. So I'm dipping the brush directly into my bronzer. The one I'm using today is called Perpetually Tan by e.l.f. So I'm dipping straight into the product and then blending it on my forehead and cheekbones where I applied the cream contour. Just being careful not to blend it in too closely to the inner portion of my face because I want to keep that bright where I applied the concealer. I'm going to dip in with an eyeshadow brush in this bronzer as well. This is the Morphe Y18. It's a tapered, fluffy synthetic blending brush. It's great for applying and diffusing product in the crease. So that's exactly what I'm going to use it for today, just to tie in the bronzer that we applied all over into the creases as well. So I'm using that brush to sweep the bronzer into my crease loosely and then also to touch it on the nose, just to bring in some more dimension and so that my nose doesn't look so flat. I'm not really contouring the nose, but I'm applying the product where I would apply contour. Does that make sense? I am, but I am. I am, but I am not. I'm not, but I am. Am, but I am. Am, but I am. Whatever. And then just to blend it out further, I'm going back in with that tapered brush that I used to set my under eye area with no additional product. I'm just blending it out. For blusher today, I'm going to use this BH Cosmetics Classic Blush Tint Color Blush Palette. This palette has a lot of beautiful rosy shades, and I'm going to use these two today in particular. One is a little bit more pink based and one is a bit more peach based. So I'm going to mix the two on this Morphe brush. This is a Morphe M501 tapered blending brush that I love to use for blush, contour, and highlight. So I'm just going to dip this brush into both shades so I get a good mixture of both on my brush, tap off the excess, and apply it directly to the high points of my cheekbone. I'll bring it onto the apples of my cheeks a little bit and then also tie it in on my nose and my forehead just a touch. Using that same Morphe M501 brush, I'm going to apply my highlighter, and I'm using another BH Cosmetics palette. This is their Spotlight Highlight 6 color palette. Again, I'm using a combination of two shades. I love to mix and match when I have a palette in front of me. So I'm going to use a combination of Allure and Vivid. Both are pink based shades. One is a bit more of a medium tone, one is a bit more of a light champagne tone, but both have a silver shimmer, which is different than most typical highlighters you see on the market. I have that gold shimmer underlay. They include that in this palette as well, but I'm going to use these pink based ones as more of a blush topper and highlighter on my cheeks today on that same Morphe tapered blending brush.
That highlight is popping. She had to do a little dance.
Highlighting is just my favorite part of makeup. Now that I have my face makeup taken care of, locked and loaded, I'm going to migrate back to my eyes. So I'm going in again with that e.l.f. Perpetually Tan Bronzer, this time on a Morphe E35, I believe. It's a small synthetic blending brush. And I'm just swooping that bronzer underneath of my bottom lash line, just to tie in with the bronzer I have in my crease, so that it doesn't look so bare under the under eye area. And now for my most favorite part of the tutorial, the part I was most excited for. Oh, the rhinestones. Oh my gosh. The iridescent Swarovski rhinestones were what drew me to this look in the first place. I'm just using my tweezers to grip these little rhinestones and apply some eyelash glue on the back flat part of them. I let the eyelash glue dry for about 30 seconds, just long enough for it to get a little bit tacky. That way when I go in and stick it down on my eyelid, it's not moving all over the place and dragging the glue all over my eyeliner. Whenever I decided to apply the rhinestones, I applied them both eyes at the same time. So I would apply a rhinestone to one eye, get it positioned just right in the center of the eyeliner, and then do the same thing on the other adjacent eye. You can do this in whatever order you prefer. I decided to apply one there on the wing and the kind of the crevice and crease of my eye because I wanted to make sure that my positioning and spacing of these rhinestones was just right. And I had to have a little snack break, so I had some grapes. I love grape season. Oh, that one got away from me there. But luckily the lash glue was tacky enough that it landed on my lashes and I didn't lose it. Half the time when I drop one of these, I cannot find it for the life of me. Oh, I just absolutely love how eye-catching this eyeliner look is. It's such a simple look, but it's so captivating. And you could do this with a multitude of colors of eyeliner and rhinestones. So really get creative, have fun with this look. To finish off the eyes, I'm going to go in with some false lashes. Maddy Perez is definitely a falsies kind of girl. So for this look, I'm going to go in with Eylure and Vegas Nays Luxe Collection lashes. This is the style Bronze Beauty. So after I've applied the lash glue to the band of the strip lash, I like to wait again about 30 seconds to allow it to get nice and tacky. I generally like to look down into my mirror so I can see where my lashes meet the skin on my eyelid, and I plop it down right there so that there's no gap or spacing. I stick the lash down on my outer corner first, working my way to that inner corner, and that I stick down last. Once I have the lashes positioned where I want them, I will then go in with the tweezers to squeeze my natural lashes with the falsies. This just makes it look more natural and like your lashes and your falsies are one. I'm going to go in next with a NYX gel liner and smudger pot. This is in the shade Jet Black. So I'm going to take that gel liner and I'm going to line the upper waterline of the rim of my lashes. This will really intensify, deepen, and darken the lash line so that it looks like those falsies are growing directly out of your lashes. Do this even when you're not wearing false lashes and you're just wearing a bit of mascara. It makes your natural lashes look naturally fuller and thicker. Trust me. Now is the time in my makeup that I like to go in and use some brow gel. So for this purpose, I'm going to go in with e.l.f.'s Clear Brow Gel. It's simple, it's easy, it's basic. It's what I like to use for everyday use. They have it in a tinted version that I also love, but the reason I love it so much is because of the applicator brush. The spoolie itself is so fine, it's so small and detailed that it really grips each hair individually. So then I go in with the back of my brush and press the brow hairs down onto the skin so that they stay upright and aren't heavily weighed down by any product. And now for just a pop more highlighter, I can't get enough. I'm going to go in with Wet n Wild's Mega Glow Highlighting Powder. This one is one of my favorites. It's the shade Blossom Glow. It is such a beautiful light champagne pink shade and it really pops on fair skin. So I'm going to go ahead and top off pretty much all the areas I already highlighted, but I'm going to go in on my Cupid's bow above my lips and on the top of my cheekbone just to provide, again, another pop of highlight. This one is super intense and foiled in its appearance, and I love the way it lays on the skin. Now for my lips, I wanted to keep it true to the picture. I wanted to keep it true to the Maddy Perez look. So I wanted to do a light blushed nude pink. To start off the lips, I'm gonna line using Colourpop's Lippy Pencil in the shade Lumiere. This is one of Kathleen Light's original Colourpop collaborations and one of my favorite and most loved lip liners in my collection. It's such a beautiful Your Lips But Better mauve pink shade, and depending on how much pressure you use when you're applying this, depends on how much pigment payoff you're gonna get, just like with the eyebrow pencil. So you can have a really light pink lip stained look, or you can go for a really deep mauve outlined lip. It's really up to you, and I love that about this lip pencil in particular because it is somewhat customizable. So I'm just using this lippy pencil to outline and slightly overline my lips, especially on the top lip. I want that poutier look to mimic Maddy Perez's fully pouty plump lips. Once I line my lip, I'm going to go in with a Q-tip to soften it up just a bit and go for more of that stained lip look. So using a Q-tip, I'm just swiping it across that lip liner to soften it up a bit. And now we can't forget about the glitter. Now before I go in with the glitter itself, I need a sticky base for the glitter to adhere to. So I'm going to use a glitter glue. You can use whatever you have. I'm using the e.l.f. glitter glue. You could even use a lip gloss if you don't have a glitter glue handy, or a cream sheen lipstick, something that has a bit of tackiness to it. So once I have applied a little bit of that glitter glue to my lips and it's nice and tacky, I'm gonna go in and start dabbing on the combination of two glitters on my lips. The glitters I'm using to recreate that soft rose gold glitter lip look today are from the brand Super Glitters or Super Bulk Glitters. I'll leave them tagged below. They have a multitude of different finishes and sizes. The ones I'm using today are the shades Cloudbuster Clear, which is a clear holographic glitter, and I'm mixing it with the shade Blushes Pink, which is a light pink, almost rose gold pink shade. So I'm mixing the two to get the best of both worlds, the best of the holographic world and the best of the pink world. I need both in my life. As you can see, it's reflecting the pink, but it's also reflecting all the colors of the rainbow because we mixed in that Cloudbuster Clear shade. It's just so gorgeous and wet and metallic and foiled looking. And then to finish it all off, I'm going to apply a little bit of gloss just to mimic the wet glossy look. I'm going to use Colourpop's Ultra Glossy Lip. This is one of my all-time favorite glosses. So after you top off the glitter lips with a little bit of gloss, this look is all complete. Like I said, it's super simple, super easy to recreate, and it's completely customizable depending on what colors you're working with. I really hope you guys enjoyed this look as my first ever YouTube makeup tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I have more videos that I've filmed and that are going to be rolling out soon, so stay tuned. Please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks guys, see you on the next one. Bye!